People try to find God. They become spiritual. What are they trying to do? This. They're just in essence trying to do this. This equals this. If I can get my mother and father and child to love and everybody be happy, just like in that movie Parent Trap, then I'll be whole. That's the externalization of male-female. That's balance, the yin and the yang. Then if they are, and because I'm a product of them, then I must be. And we know that that's bullshit. You had a question.
No, I actually wanted to share my current situation, going to family therapy, my divorce and all that stuff with my son. I felt like on the top of the triad in the alliance was with my son and my Tiffany. So with Julian, I've noticed, like, at first when everything started, he was constantly saying, I want to go with mom. Like, I want to go with mom. I'm like, yo, I miss you. Like, we haven't been together for a little bit. Like, let's hang out, trying to do that. And I started realizing the main reason why was because constantly bought him stuff. Every time they would go to the store, whatever, and it was her way of, like, I guess, for him not buying him, just kind of letting him cope with the whole situation, get him everything. So he started taking advantage of that. And one day he asked me for a bow staff for martial arts, and I'm like, I'm not going to get you a bow staff right now. Like, I don't have the money for that, but I will in the future if you want. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I want to go home with mommy. What does that mean after that? And I was like, wait, are you saying you want to go home with mommy because she'll buy you the bow staff? And he was like, are you going to get mad at me if I say yes? And I was like, no, I'm not going to ever get mad at you. I just want to know. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I brought it up to the therapist, the family therapist. And then now we formed an alliance between her and I, Team Julian, because now before we buy anything, like, we have to contact the other. And then we both discuss it, and we both say yes in front of him, and then he gets it.
Adult. And that's why it works. And interesting, because he's like, what? You saying that mom's going to buy it for you? Tug of war. Oh shit, I have to meet my dad's needs. Wait a minute, what's the right answer? That's why kids lie. You obviously have developed some rapport with him that when you say you're not going to get mad, you don't. So he trusted you enough. But how many parents say, I'm not going to get mad, and then they start beating their kid up and tell them the truth?
My mom did that to me.
So in your case, you've done something right in the sense that you've developed a trust. That he's like, okay, I could trust him. But he was wondering, what does my dad need to hear? So it always goes back to, wait a minute, what need do they have? The kids' needs are not met. That's why this is super important to understand, because when we segue into relationships, all of this is. So when you and Tiffany are on Team Julian, you're having adult. That's a win-win-win. Now he's already fucked like everybody else, because he had conception to at least 6, right? He's 6?
Yes.
Okay, but of course, the better and the younger and the quicker we get in an alliance where everyone's winning, then less trauma, easier to learn appropriate behavior, setting boundaries, things like that. So we're screwed in the sense, my joke, because the moment you're conceived, you're already sort of broken. Your thread has already been put, and you're shattered into 100 pieces. So you're still going to have to do the work to get to wholeness in the authentic self. But the sooner, that's why 0 to 7. I had a client who started seeing me when her daughter was 2. Her daughter's now 6. And I used to tell her, do you know how lucky you are that you have 5 years, which is sufficient according to behavior change models, 5 years to do things differently so that child doesn't get so scarred. So even though the thread is in there, those 0 to 7 are important, because at that year 7, whether you call it Saturn, whether you call it school, whether you call it independence, whether you use Erickson's words, that independence, that autonomy starts to set in as a necessity for that child.
Could it be that maybe in my thread, my mom
my mom's parents got divorced when she was young, and so her and her siblings were like separated and sent to different homes all the time. So my mom, when she came to the States, she asked for her mother to come. So basically, I don't know what happened. All I know is that by age 8 or 9, she stopped talking to her mom and like like every time my grandma called her, and even now if she ever calls, which she doesn't pick up the phone. She'll be like, oh, it's your grandma, just leave it alone. And I don't know, could that be a threat to why me and my mom don't have the best relationship?
Well, everything is a thread, and it all leads back to that. Your alliance is with your mother and your father. So if at the moment of conception, your mother didn't like her mom, then that's in you. And what did she offer you? What were you giving? What was bartered?
From my mom?
From both parents. If you don't talk to your grandmother, I'll love you more?
No, from my mom. I don't even know what my mom gave me just yet, because she was a bitch, she still is. And my dad was just the quiet one. He was actually like Becca's dad, always providing. He was a greyhound.
Okay, so we've heard you have an alliance with your dad.
Yeah.
Your main alliance is with your dad. He's the provider.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always need to mean that what you're going to value is money, but you may value the appropriate roles of mother and father.
Okay.
Or you might value the fact that your dad did his job, which was provision, but your mom didn't do hers, which was nutrition, nurturance.
Yeah.
So I want you to start thinking of many ways. The other day I said to a friend of mine who's also a therapist, and I said, oh, so-and-so, they're either always counting money or counting calories. They have an obsession with self-worth, because calories is energy and money is energy. They're both forms of currency. Currency is linked to worth. And that woman went, psh, and she started thinking of all the people that she knows that is constantly counting calories and money. That's a theme, that's a thread. So if her dad did it right, and all he did was pay the bills, which is the role of the man back then that means that the mother did it wrong. And so the problem is, the thread is, only one parent does it right, or each parent should assume their appropriate role. And so if your mom didn't love her mother, or your grandmother didn't love your mom, then there's already a thread that parents aren't doing their job right.
Then I'm completely fucked.
Okay? No, but that's hers.
That's not.
And the other day you were talking about the
I'm saying
potential
the
of
triad.
dying and leaving your kid with someone else.
Yeah.
You can't die simply for the fact that you can't honor that Costco card. You have to fight to get your Nordstrom card so that you can give your son the role of mom that obviously in your lineage is not available.
Yeah.
Is it time?
10:30.
And I said 10:30? I know you have to go, right?
Well, not till 11:30.
Oh, can you guys stay or do you want to leave?
I'm fine.
I was expecting it to be 12, so
Oh, no, I was going to see a client, but I'm not feeling well, like to see someone, but I'd prefer to teach
absolutely.
if you guys are okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
I will take it.
So it becomes a barter system. It becomes a barter system. And so you have to know what your price is. And every one of us has a price, because every one of us is a prostitute. And that is why, and in mythology and in religion, the prostitute is exiled or is stuck with 7 demons. The woman is exiled. The woman is the one that can't leave when the Taliban says you can't leave without a man. The woman's intelligence, because it's divine and intuitive, is very scary to men, especially men in power.
Yes, it is.
And everyone is intuitive. but there's something about intuition with the woman, especially the mother. So my daughter comes home the other day, and I knew. She's like, Mom, I have to tell you something because I'm her confessional. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said, Sophia, mother's intuition. Many, many years ago when my son Stephen was little, he was sick, and I took him to the doctor like 3 times that week. And the doctor was like, no, it's nothing. And I knew it was something. So I ended up saying, screw it, I'm going to the ER. I took him to the ER and he was about to start having pneumonia. And they said that he might be prone to getting asthma. I was like, what a fucktard this guy was. It tells me nothing. So I switched doctors and I went interviewing pediatricians. And the question I was looking for to be answered was, what is your opinion on a mother's intuition? And I found this doctor, an older man, who said, the mother knows the baby best. I will listen to her. Hired! That's a no-brainer, right? I mean, even if he pulled it out of his ass, he told me what I wanted to hear. You got the job. And to this day, I mean, they just turned 18 and 19. Up until last year, they all went to that office. And Stephen must have been 2, so we're talking about a 16-year business, because he said the right thing. So that threatens that feminine, the intuitive. It is not valued in our society. It's valued in the East. It is not valued in the West. And therefore, religions and companies and cultures, and now we're starting to see the pendulum shift. We're starting this whole Me Too movement, everything that happened in Hollywood. I mean, we're starting to see the collapse of the men.
Which is why we haven't been able to elect a woman.
Exactly, but it's coming. It's coming, because it has to.
Yep. Hopefully
We
now.
are moving into that sort of world.
I have to eat, like, I take
No.
medication and I
You
have
can eat in here.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You can eat in here.
Yes, yeah. if I
Luciana,
don't, I'm
for
gonna
watching
get really
this
nauseous.
It's an exception.
And you're off today, so you don't know anything.
Yeah.
So,
Until she watches.
yes. So, that's the issue with the barter system, is that it's at the root of us. So our parents' good and bad buckets will determine, and it's very personal. This is where your judgments come in the game that I want to play. The other day someone said, Jen said that she uses her body, and I asked, is that good or bad? And you say, oh, that's bad, and you go on your
I
reason.
did.
Yeah, it's
But I
fine.
used to be a stripper.
It's fine. It's a judgment. And I said, there's a judgment. That's what we want to hear for.
Was it you?
We want
I
to
don't
hear
think it
for.
was me.
Yeah, it was
I said
definitely
it was
you.
great.
No, I don't
No,
think
It was,
no.
I don't think it was me. I was
No, I
very
don't think it
proud
was
of
her.
her.
I'm 99.9% sure, but that doesn't matter. The
No.
point is that there's a judgment. And the judgment is linked back to the buckets.
No, I think it was,
And I know it was.
Because they were sitting
I don't have chemo brain just
Wasn't
yet.
it with, no, wasn't it with Becca?
No,
that she
no,
told
it was
me.
you. It was absolutely
That's
fine. That's
It's
the
okay.
point.
Okay, whatever.
It's okay.
Fine, it's fine.
I don't think you
We're
meant
talking
meditated
about
that way, but you
that-
did say.
using your body
Yeah.
is a negative thing, and most of us have been taught. Use your body, but then don't say you do.
Yeah.
Because that would be prostitution, right? And we're all prostitutes, men and women alike. And we know we're prostitutes because we had to barter to get something from our parents. We weren't going to get unconditional love, but we were going to get a bike or we were going to get a ton of hugs and kisses. Take your hugs and kisses. Give me the bike.
Yeah, because we all we do whatever it takes to get whatever we need.
Yeah.
And so, that is prostitution. But where does the prostitute archetype come from? It comes from the buckets. Your alliance to your parents, you decided, this is why you cannot judge the client. And if you notice yourself judging, that's yours. The client is going to tell you, if you listen, what value system is how they're living their life. And I would have said before, things to do with money, I don't have anything. And there's a saying in Spanish, yo no tengo nada que es mío. I have nothing that's mine. I'll give you the shirt off my back. Like, I literally will. Like, I have no attachment to material things. I mean, my 3 kids and my dog, but,
Well,
you know.
yeah, but that's
but
not really
anything,
material, but
anything
yeah.
you ask me. The other day, someone asked me for my ring, and I said, oh, here, take it. Like, I don't, because that's a value system that I have, that I'm proud of, because that's how my dad was. My dad is like that. And then on top of that, not only are you giving someone material things, but then you're paying for all of their bills. That's a good bucket item in my father. I want to live that way. All of a sudden, I have an alliance with my father and me, and my mother's the outcast. And looking at the relationship, this is not why you can't say to a client, oh, who are you closer with? This has nothing to do with being close to the parent. That's why I said the parent can be dead, and your mom can say, your father was the best guy ever. And you can have the alliance with that guy who's dead that you never met. Looking at my life, you would say, oh, my mom and me. But the alliance, at the end of the day, because of the values, comes from the buckets, and it can come from the good or the bad. That's up to the person. If your father's a thief, and you think that's cool, or you think you're a loser and you want to be a thief too, I'm no one to judge you. That's a good bucket item for you. So we can't label things good or bad. We can't. They're judgments that we have. But the client makes their alliance with one or the other parent because of their values. And this is super important. This is what you're going to listen to in this game. Okay? Who's ready to play? Okay.
Do you want me to stand?
Yeah, just
Stop?
pause it, but we are